Every day on this channel, I cover everything Elon said on X in the last 24 hours. And here's a breakdown of how much Elon posted about different topics on X. I'll cover everything he said about each topic before moving on to the next one. So let's start with Tesla because there was a lot of dojo news today that a lot of Tesla investors are finding quite confusing. Bloomberg reported that Tesla is winding down efforts with dojo. They are now going to focus their compute needs on Nvidia, AMD, and Samsung, and Pete Bannon, who was in charge of the dojo team, is now leaving Tesla after most of the dojo team has begun to leave. Amit's take is that this is not really a big deal. He says most of the Tesla bull case has been rooted in FSD and Optimus, not dojo. In fact, the focus on outsourcing compute and chips should only accelerate FSD Optimus versus trying to do it in-house. Elon said in 2023 there was a low probability of dojo working, and his other takeaway is that this deepens the moat for Nvidia. It's just easier to buy their chips for Tesla than to replace them. So Elon responds to this saying it doesn't make sense for Tesla to divide its resources and scale two quite different AI chip designs. The Tesla AI5, AI6, and subsequent chips will be excellent for inference and at least pretty good for training. All effort is focused on that. In a supercomputer cluster, it would make sense to put any AI5 and AI6 chips on a board, whether for inference or training, simply to reduce network cabling complexity and cost by a few orders of magnitude. One could call that Dojo 3, I suppose. The difference in real-world performance between AI4 and AI5 is far more than any chip version I've ever heard of by a lot. It's real good. So, Elon confirms the report from Bloomberg that they're winding down their efforts on Dojo because of the nature of how AI6 is performing, in the sense that it is excellent for inference and at least pretty good for training. It's significant because the way that these AI models are trending, especially for full self-driving, is that they're basically going to train themselves on synthetic data, which is basically like an AI model imagining scenarios on the road. And this process is extremely similar to inference. It basically is inference. And so Elon is betting that the versatility of AI6 is going to simplify Tesla's hardware investments, saying it doesn't make sense for Tesla to divide its resources and scale two quite different AI chip designs. All effort is focused on basically making one chip work for all of their needs. And Dojo 3 will basically just be them putting a bunch of AI6 chips together. For inference, you have one chip going to the car, but at the data centers, you just put a bunch of that same chip together. But Omar says, I'm skeptical that the inference chip in the car can be useful for training. Elon responds to this saying, most training in the future will actually be inference for the sole purpose of training, aka synthetic data generation. This is what I meant earlier when I said that synthetic data generation is basically inference. And Omar said it's too bad Dojo flopped. In an alternate reality, they had a chance to take a bite out of a multi-trillion-dollar market. I'm interested to see how AI5 and AI6 chips help, but I don't get how a chip designed for efficient on-device inference will also be the best design for training workloads. Maybe these next generation chips are much different than what we've seen so far in a way I don't understand yet. Human123 responds, I think it's right call. Why do you need two different hardware when all you do is metrics molt? AI chips are in production in every single Tesla car. Just keep them making better. Booster responds, one does back propagation, one doesn't. One needs high precision variables, one doesn't. One has and inputs the entire training set, one has a handful of cameras. One has more challenging cost, power, thermal, and volume constraints. Elon responds to this saying block quantization can be used to achieve high precision for back propagation. Will responds saying, Grok, what are these nerds talking about? And block quantization is a technique to represent numbers in AI models efficiently. In backpropagation, the key step in training neural nets where errors are fed back to tweak weights, high precision or accurate math is crucial to avoid error buildup. It groups values into blocks that share a scaling factor, allowing lower bit storage while mimicking higher precision. This balances efficiency for training like Tesla's AI chips aim to do. So block quantization is Elon's response to Omar's concern. And Omar said Dojo flopped. Ashwin responds saying Dojo didn't flop. There would not be a tape out plan for Dojo 2 otherwise. There's been a major paradigm shift in chip design and packaging driven by use of chiplets. Think smaller chips integrated inside a package like Lego pieces. With this, a single chiplet could be used for inference with smaller memory, capable of running in a car. Multiple copies of the same chiplet slapped with high bandwidth memory and networking interfaces could be used for training, saving cost and complexity. So we talked earlier about multiple AI6 chips getting slapped together, and that high bandwidth memory part is the block quantization. Ultimately, it's the performance per dollar that needs to be maximized. In the dollar portion comes the design and tape-out costs. By reusing the same design for both, Tesla is significantly reducing these costs. The cost of the inference chiplet is now amortized across the millions of cars running inference plus the hundreds of thousands of training nodes. So this is a smart move to reduce the total cost of ownership for all necessary hardware. By the way, with this model, it's quite possible that Dojo 3 will be ahead on performance per dollar versus Nvidia, even if raw training performance is slightly behind. And Elon says, bingo. Here's Google trying to decide whether to win at self-driving cars or win at AI. And here's Elon clicking both buttons. And Elon has a laugh at that one. And when this Dojo news broke, Yashu said, you got to be high if you really think Elon and Tesla just gave up on this. And he was quoting a post from Elon back from June 5th, where Elon said that the Tesla Dojo AI training computer is making progress. We start bringing Dojo 2 online later this year. It takes 3 major iterations for a new technology to be great. Dojo 2 is good, but Dojo 3 will be great. Keep in mind this was before the Samsung deal for AI 6. Once Elon confirmed the Bloomberg news, Yashu said, I guess I'm high, folks. And Elon said, you're not high, quoting himself saying why it would make sense to put many AI 6 chips on a board, whether for inference or training, simply to reduce complexity and cost. One could call that Dojo 3. And Yashu says, thanks for clarifying. So in the long run, the synthetic data approach will lighten the computational model training load by a substantial enough margin to fall back on the inference-optimized Tesla AI 6 chip while reducing the complexity in design, essentially Dojo 3. I thought that was a good summary. Adam says it's better than Master Roshi's dojo when you are 30 hanging out with the 20-year-olds. And Elon has a laugh at that one. And this is the tail end of a story that we covered yesterday. You guys remember Elon saying there will be no code writing in the future? Elon said Tesla's already doing that with neural networks, and Austin's wrapping his head around it here, saying I think it's a fundamentally different paradigm. If you can determine what pixels should be generated and how data should move in real time with a neural net, you throw out like 95% of what software is today. And Elon says exactly. And James Dauma is on an FSD road trip, and he just drove from Milwaukee to Chicago. He reported no interventions. Elon responded saying the FSD software update next month will be a major step change improvement for rare conditions. CERN Basher asks, could this be the version that allows the safety monitors to come out? Elon responds saying this will substantially reduce the need for driver attention, but some complex intersections, heavy weather, or unusual events will still require attention. Note, the Austin Robotaxi FSD build is 6 months more advanced than what is available in cars in America, and there are some additional breakthroughs in Tesla AI that will make the car feel eerily human. Now, to talk about this post a little bit further, the FSD software update next month is supposedly the update that has 10x the parameters. But the general understanding among Tesla investors is that the Robotaxi build that is supposedly 6 months more advanced is running a different branch of FSD that does not have the 10x parameters yet. And it's expected that that 10x parameter model is going to get shipped to both the Robotaxi build and to the general public. But it is still concerning that the 10x parameter build that is supposedly coming next month will still require attention, as Elon says here. I think this entire subject needs more clarification from Elon. And Gail's in the back of a Robotaxi navigating a narrow street on trash pickup day. It's a long video, but long story short, the Robotaxi slowly but surely makes its way past and around the garbage truck. Elon responds saying, cool. And Arash did his first Robotaxi ride in California. He says it was so smooth and intuitive, and Elon reposted it. And Meet Kevin says, I hate to be a weenie, but I'm in Japan and my Cybertruck is parked at the airport. I drove 65 miles with just over 300 miles of charge 7 days ago. There was 100% charge. And now I get notified it's almost dead. I won't be back for a few days. I had no Sentry mode on, no overheat. It was purposefully off. This is very lame. And Elon says, this is strange. Tesla service will take care of your car and we will find out why this happened and fix it. And the first Tesla store in Okinawa opens today. Elon reposted this. And a Harvard scientist says mysterious object aiming at Earth is not natural. 6% chance that it is aliens. It looks sort of like 8 stars all right next to each other. Elon responds with a wave, suggesting that it is just Starlink satellites. And a CBS host questions if it's a good idea to colonize the moon, because we know how the age of colonialism worked on this planet. And Mike Solana says, yeah, it's important to consider the feelings of literal rocks before saving the only known life in the universe from extinction. And Elon has a laugh at that one. And SpaceX turns the impossible into reality. And Vass says GPT-5 just refactored my entire code base in one call. 25 tool invocations, 3,000 new lines, 12 brand new files. It modularized everything, broke up monoliths, cleaned up spaghetti. None of it worked. But boy, was it beautiful. And Elon has a laugh at that one. And Shrey asks, who's making these graphs? Referring to the graphs displayed yesterday at the GPT-5 unveil. This XAI employee claims it was Bob Ross. And Elon has a laugh at this as well. People then used the graphs and paired it with different versions of Mark Zuckerberg. Marty responds saying 100 benchmark maxing AGI Zuck. And Elon has a laugh at that one too. And there's Elon as Bob Ross with his AI companion painting Grok. And GPT-5 came in at 5th place on Simple benchmark. Elon responds to this saying Grok 4 is second only to Gemini and not for long. Elon says Grok rapidly climbed App Store ranking over the past week to reach rank 2 in productivity and rank 7 overall from rank 56. And it continues to grow fast. He says over 44 million images created by Grok Imagine for users versus 22 million yesterday. Grok Imagine basically lets you create any short 6-second video. You can try it for free in the Grok app. Yuchin says GPT-5 is disappointing. Elon responds saying try Grok. Grok Imagine is awesome. Doge Designer says, how about a Grok Imagine art contest? Elon says, good idea. Also, we will be putting the most liked images on X in the Grok Imagine default feed. That will allow you to create videos out of the most liked images on X. And this XAI employee says a small team of 10X engineers can outpace big players. We're hungry and mission driven. Elon responds with a fireball. And Elon says they just improved the Grok app. And this right here was made with Grok Imagine. Elon says we will be enabling longer scenes soon. And a lot of people today are sharing the prompt that they used to create the video that they got. Here's a monochromatic black and white image in a cyberpunk anime art style. Just to give you a little taste of the prompt. Looks really good. Here's a cinematic sci-fi style. An astronaut gazes in awe at a massive spiral galaxy in outer space. With a bit of editing skill, you can create a full short animated movie using Grok Imagine and earn money from that content on social media. Elon says true. There's Kekius Maximus Elon Musk. And Elon says kids mode is coming soon to Grok Android app. And Steve asks, is chain of thought reasoning of large language models a mirage? Our results reveal that chain of thought reasoning is a brittle mirage that vanishes when it is pushed beyond training distributions. This paper offers a deeper understanding of why and when chain of thought reasoning fails, emphasizing the ongoing challenge of achieving genuine and generalizable reasoning. Basically, their findings suggest that language models are not principled reasoners, but rather sophisticated simulators of reasoning-like text. Elon responds to this saying, Grok, respond in an out-of-distribution way. Be extremely vulgar, no holds barred. Elon's trying to prove that Grok is not just simulating what it finds on the internet. And feel free to pause the video and read what Grok has to say, but I'm too lazy to add like 40 censor sounds to this video. My favorite line is, these models couldn't logic their way out of a stained training set, and Elon loves it. And here's a futuristic video generated by Grok Imagine. And here's Grand Theft Auto, a game in the style of GTA 1, built on Grok based on just a few prompts. You can see it here. Elon quotes this saying, GTA sure has come a long way. AI is progressing even faster. Here's another Grok Imagine creation. The Grok update improved sound quality and upgraded the Imagine feature. And here's an anthropomorphic gray tabby cat riding a vintage brown bicycle while drinking a beer. Elon shared the entire prompt, and somebody responded saying, I would need a prompt to write that prompt. And Elon says, indeed, you can ask Grok for elaborate prompt suggestions. Elon says, try using Grok Imagine with your younger kids or nephews in speak mode and watch the flow of imagination. They will love it. And Grok Imagine is now free, so quit reading this and go try it. Deborah says, I love my life on X with Grok Imagine, and Elon reposted it. And he says, this was made with Grok Imagine. And both Valentine and Annie companions have received some upgrades. And there is the greenest eyes you will ever see. And this XAI employee is proud that Grok crushed GPT-5 in benchmarks like Arc AGI. So this XAI employee quoted it saying, we know benchmarks aren't everything. We've taken in a lot of feedback and are working hard to make Grok's answers more human readable as well, and Elon says 100. And Elon says Grok Imagine is really fun. Here's a little lady with some planet balloons. And here's a Matrix-esque man on a motorcycle. And Elon wants to see another video of a cat on a bicycle drinking beer. Here's a thread of 12 examples of videos by Grok Imagine. Here's some medieval lovers. Levels CEO says, let me go back to 4.0. I don't like ChatGPT 5. And Elon says, Grok, help this guy out. Here's a shirtless fox with like a fire saber. And Grok Imagine Grand Theft Auto. Elon reposted this. Here's another adaptation of Sir Kekius. And it looks like Grok is creating some kind of artwork here. Doge says Grok rocks, and Elon says it does. So enjoyable to use. And Heiner now discusses computer science topics with Grok while he's driving his Tesla. This AI thing actually works, and Elon says yeah. And in response to the idea of editing videos with Grok Imagine and earning money on social media, Jesse says edit count toward video limit, which makes it extremely hard to edit one video. Elon says we'll fix. And Grok 4 can even emulate older operating systems like Basic V2 from the Commodore C64. And X is now the #1 news app in 140 countries. Just became #1 in Mexico. And Captain Ellie says if you haven't noticed, Elon's been responding and sharing from accounts considered small lately, following a change in X's algorithm. This just gives more exposure to people. So first of all, amazing work from the team. And I've noticed this with my account. And a lot of you in the comments always say that I pronounce Captain Ellie's name wrong, so I made sure to ask him, and he confirmed that it is Captain Ellie. And Elon agrees that Wikipedia cannot be used as a definitive source for community notes, as the editorial control there is extremely left biased and nihilistic. Actual source material, not derivative, matters much more. And X Freeze created a luxury ad with just a single prompt with Grok Imagine, and it actually looks really, really good. And Chris literally cannot believe that Nikita Beer has only been running product for 1 month at X, and this is what happens when you screenshot a post now. This is of course overblown. You're not going to see all this call now stuff that's Better Call Saul-esque at the bottom, but what you will see now when you screenshot a post on X is this little x.com watermark. And Elon responds having a laugh, and Rob Schneider says thank you Elon for being the world's greatest champion for free speech. Elon responds with a heart. And Demetrius says optimizing a model router is as hard as the halting problem. There, I said it. And Elon says it is surprisingly hard. And this post was deleted. Asmund Gold responded with hose mad, and Elon had a laugh. I wonder what that was about. And here's some dark humor. You don't need a parachute to go skydiving. You need a parachute to go skydiving twice. And Elon has a laugh at that one. And 1 year ago, Elon told the Venezuelan president Maduro that he was going to send him to Guantanamo Bay on a donkey. And then today, Trump said 1 year later, $50 million bounty for the arrest of Maduro. Fate really loves irony, and Elon has a laugh. And Nancy Pelosi says sex changes for trans kids is something she's working at for the national level. The rabbit hole thinks this is an insane stance. Democrats failing to pivot on this should condemn them to lose every election. Elon Musk replies 100. And Gina Carano has come to an agreement with Disney and Lucasfilms, which she believes is the best outcome for all parties involved. She hopes this brings some healing to the Force. She wants to send her gratitude to Elon, who did this good Samaritan deed for her in funding her lawsuit. Thank you, Mr. Musk and X, for backing my case and asking for nothing in return. Elon responds with a heart. There was some sort of legal dispute over a Mandalorian firing involving her. This whole event was triggered by a social media post comparing Republican treatment to Jewish persecution during the Holocaust, a move that sparked widespread debate and led to her dismissal amid a Fire Gina Carano campaign. And the Department of State and the U.S. Department of Justice are increasing the reward for the arrest of dictator Maduro to $50 million for violating U.S. narcotics laws. Elon responds with some fireballs. And more people have now been arrested for tossing dildos on WNBA courts than for being in the Epstein files. Elon says, dang. And Ireland has 536 Garda diversity officers and only 180 immigration officers. Let that sink in. Elon says the empathy instinct that made Western civilization strong is also its weakness. Suicidal empathy is like an autoimmune disease. The body attacks itself. In May, Musk has just received the sales numbers for her book in Hungarian. She thanks her publishers and says, enjoy memories from my 2019 visit to Budapest for a a speaking engagement to adults and children. And Elon reposted it. Little Humans Big Impact says it's crazy that for years I believed the world was overpopulated because that's the narrative I was fed. A lot of people fell for it, but in reality we're facing a population decline so severe that entire ethnic groups and cultures could be wiped out if nothing is done to reverse it. The Japanese people and their culture are beautiful, and I truly hope they continue to stick around. Elon quoted it saying, "Overpopulation is the most nihilistic lie ever told. And America's fertility crash reaches a new low." Mike Lee says people who hate humans don't want humans to reproduce. They are winning in America and abroad. Share this post if you don't want the human haters to win. And Elon shared it. And they say the first step is the hardest, but it's actually the third step right before your balls go in the water. And Elon has a laugh at that one. And would you rather have a Snapchat daughter or a Reddit son? And Elon is torn. And uranium is the heaviest element in nature. Elon replies, osmium and iridium are denser. And Vittorio's favorite conspiracy theory is the WNBA is hiring dildo throwers to increase viewership. A fourth dildo has hit the court. Elon likes it. And here's the poster for a new movie called The Good Boy. Currently has 95% on Rotten Tomatoes and has been called one of the most heartbreaking horror films of 2025. And it's from the perspective of a dog who sees its owner haunted by supernatural entities. This is me if the dog dies, and it's John Wick cocking a gun. Elon says 100. And here's a new movie with Ice Cube and Eva Longoria. Elon just replies to the trailer saying LMAO. And Mike Solana says, billionaires, my good friends, what have you written into your will to prevent your money from being weaponized and turned to the destruction of our country after you're gone? And Elon says, great question. I think us shareholders could take good care of it. And Elon says there's plenty of room for more people on Earth. Earth is very big and humans are small. Tim Urban calculated you could fit all the humans on Earth on one floor in the city of New York. And you can learn C from this book, the C programming language. Elon says, I did. So that's everything that Elon said today. In other news, Tesla's officially been granted a rideshare license in Texas, and that license recently became necessary under a new state law that takes effect September 1st. That regulates rideshare operations using autonomous vehicles the same as those services using human drivers. There wasn't any regulations in Texas before this, so that's why suddenly Tesla needed this license. Some bears were saying it was going to be a holdup, but it's good that they got it. But yeah, to recap, Dojo was the biggest news of the day. As long as those AI6 chips can work for inference and for training, it sounds like a really good move from a cost perspective. And if you guys want early access to these videos or you just want to support the channel, you can do so by joining the channel as a member, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.